Alright, welcome to the channel. It's the first video I'm doing on Titanfall 2. I always wanted to do a challenge run. It's one of my favorite shooters of all time, easily, hands down. I just love it so much. Movement's crazy, gunplay is fantastic. So what if we just didn't use guns? I'm gonna try to do it, not even shooting a single bullet. Grenades are allowed. A lot of meleeing is gonna be going on. You can use your abilities, so I can still cloak and stuff, give me an advantage. I can do assassinations. Yeah, if the assassination happens to use a gun, it's not going to be a fail, because it's not me pulling the trigger. So, yeah, should be good. I also forgot to mention, this doesn't just apply to the pilot, it also applies to the Titan, so cannot shoot the Titan either. You can still use the Titan's abilities as long as it doesn't use his gun. For example, the very first Titan loadout that you get, its super ability is using its gun. It overcharges its gun. So obviously I can't use that. But say Scorch, that has like a fire bomb, that we can use because it's not a gun. And yeah, just apply that to everything else and we'll see how it goes. So it starts off with us being put into a simulation and we get beamed in there. Once I spawned in, I pretty much just headed down the course, and eventually I came to the room with every single gun that I'm not going to be able to use during this challenge, which kind of sucks because they have a lot of sweet guns in this game. And then I came to a point where I tried jumping and punching these. There's no grenades around, so I had to shoot these targets to advance it, but I don't count that as a fail. I don't count that as a fail because it's not an actual enemy. Right after that, I ended up just going through the gauntlet, running around, punched everybody. Super easy because it's a simulation, so they can't shoot back. So, finished up this gauntlet real quick, and then headed back to the captain. This is where we see BT for the first time, but after this, we ended up getting pulled out of the simulation because our ship was under attack. And this leads to one of the coolest intros in gaming, in my opinion.
Operation. We are going down. Repeat, we are going down. Hornet, move on. I'm seeing a ton of anti-orbital defenses. None of them will decompression on deck. 5 to 9. All hands abandon ship. All hands abandon. Get to the lifeboat. We're going down. We're going down. This is the MCS James McAllen. We are going down. I repeat, we are going down. They're jamming us hard. We're not getting through.
A life pod ends up crashing onto the planet's surface and we get straight into the action. Luckily though, I got a squad with me, so no biggie, we just rushed straight in there. Except for they all died. Luckily we got a couple more guys. Anyways, I charged straight in, punched a few of them. I'm still using grenades, so I huck one at a big group and just clean up the rest with a couple punches. A little while later, I almost get crushed to smithereens by a Titan that was falling in. Luckily, the captain shows up and ends up pulling us to cover after absolutely demolishing him, WWE style. Yeah, so we can thank him for saving our life. But not too long after, he gets double teamed and pretty much just gets annihilated. So, poor guy. And if our day couldn't get any worse, when we wake up, it turns out we're being torn apart limb for limb by the wildlife trying to eat us like roadkill. But luckily, BT ends up saving the day by gunning him down, and we're good. Turns out the captain actually ended up surviving, but that won't be the case for very long, as he basically just ends up telling us to uphold the mission, and sadly ends up dying. We give him a proper burial, put on his helmet, and then the game really starts to begin. Now, BT was damaged pretty badly, so he needs a couple batteries so he can start repairing himself. So I started off by killing a couple reptilians and wandering off into the wildlife to do some parkour, which eventually leads us to our first encounter with human enemies. And I'm going to let the very first combat encounter just play out so you guys can really see what it's like going through the whole game. So, punches, one hit kill, which is huge for us because we can also move as fast as lightning. Now, you can see I have a cloak in the bottom left that I can end up using. And I ended up using a cloak whenever I got low health. You can see me use it right here to kind of just get out of there. And it also lets you sneak around, so you can get directly behind to get assassinations off and stuff. And you're immune to everything while in an assassination, so that's also huge. That it has iframes. So yeah, you basically just kind of use the environment to the best of your capabilities, kind of just ducking and weaving behind rocks, kind of just confusing the enemy as much as you can. Guerrilla warfare tactics are definitely your best friend in this game, and you just want to keep up your speed because it's a lot harder for them to hit you. I love how around the environment there's a lot of opportunities for movement, such as zip lines and a whole bunch of lifts and stuff like that, which is super nice for getting around. Like I said, the faster you go, the harder it is for them to hit you, so kind of just slide around as much as you can. You can also bounce off of walls if you hit them just right, and you can see me miss a lot of kicks in this video, so yeah, no comment on that one. I ended up cleaning up the rest of these lackeys and just continued on, and this is where I remembered how much I hated these drone things. They're only one hit if you punch them, but the thing is they're flying all around. You got to jump up to try and hit them, and it's just really annoying. But I was going through these caves until I saw these robots jump down, and I forgot to mention robots are a 2-hit kill when you're punching. And I also forgot you could hack these guys at first, so I ran away, cloaked a little bit so I could regain my health. And I went to go hack one immediately, but I didn't realize you could get canceled out of the animation. So we got to find some strategies to get around that. But I ended up realizing if you punch one of them, it kind of just makes them fall down, and that gives you the opportunity to attack another one. So they ended up shooting each other. I ended up finding my way into the space shuttle that crash landed, and soon enough I found the first battery. I brought it back to BT, cleared the area, installed the battery, and then headed on my way to find the next one. And I started off by throwing some grenades into the combat arena, cleaning up the loose fodder, and ran in and just started bashing, dude. Ended up bashing a few skulls in, and after that I ended up finding an electric turret, which could have been a problem, but luckily I had arc grenades which do electric damage. So I went invisible, flanked the entire group, and just spammed some grenades to clean them up. Yeah, tied up the loose ends, and after this, I just moved on to the next area. After this, I found the second battery and headed back to BT for the second time, which had a whole bunch of robots. So you can see here that strategy I was talking about earlier. If you punch the other ones over, they'll scramble on the ground for a little bit, which gives you time to hack them. So I hacked 3 of them for my own personal army and put the battery in, and then hopped in BT. When you're in a Titan, you can use a vortex shield, which captures anything shot at you and throws it back once the shield runs out. So you can actually catch the bullets people shoot at you and light them up. Then I also have a rocket launcher that homes in on enemies, but that is an ability, so not a gun. On top of that, it's rockets. So yeah, you can see how much damage that vortex shield does, and then after that, you just lock on and clean them up. Yeah, and just like that, first level is done. Second mission starts with us running through the woods until we find our teammates, and I'm just going to show you what a full battle with Titans looks like. A lot of punching, a lot of shenanigans, so obviously you can lock in on multiple enemies at once, and a lot of this really relies on your vortex shield blocking when you're at range, and then when you get close enough, you punch, dash, punch. You can't stun lock them with punching because every time you punch, it pushes you back. So you have to dash every single time that you punch to close that distance back up. As you can see, some enemies have a lot more health than other enemy types, so you just gotta wail on them. You can see here, I dropped my electric smoke. This continuously damages whoever's inside. So if you pop it down and you have them pinned against a wall or something, their health will drain so fast, it's actually insane. Right now, I got a couple of teammates with me, so the enemies are focused on them. They're not really focusing on me a lot, so you can see my health is just not going down at all because I'm basically just third partying. But once I'm in sections where it's just me, it's going to get a lot harder, as you'll see. But moving on from here, I just advanced up here into the sewers, and this brings us to the tone loadout, which is entirely useless to us. I mean, it can drop down a shield, but we're never going to end up using this over anything else because it doesn't give us viable damage options. So I kill these 2 Titans that ambush us and hop out of BT so I can kill some IMC, baby. If you can sneak up on them, you can actually like chain some good attacks because as you can see, all these guys are running from me so they don't even know I'm there half the time. So it makes it real easy just to sneak up and punch them in the face. A lot of verticality is super good because you can just jump down and they never expect it. Kind of just jumping on them like Batman, they're not even looking at you, so makes quick easy kills. And after slaughtering all the rest of the IMC in the area, I ended up making it to the valve shutoff, which actually opens a gate that allows BT to come up and meet me. So I continue through the sewers trying to meet up with BT and punch a few guys in the face, hack a couple others, and eventually I make it to some friendlies. I head down the tunnel to give them fire support farther down, and this is where we meet the Stalker for the first time. So these guys, they're robots, so they take 2 punches, but the thing is they have a cell on their back which can explode. And also, you can see one crawling down there. So they can be dismembered, but they'll still crawl after you like zombies from COD. And I tried running into the acid because I'm stupid and didn't realize it's acid. But luckily, I ended up finishing everybody off with some nades. Came across a turret, but luckily I was able to avoid it enough and punch it, killing it instantly. Luckily, turrets are one-shot punch. And I ended up making it to tick territory. Now, this area was actually super hard for me as a kid because they'll all bum rush you and just blow up. But luckily, you can just have one start its timer and then just run away because they will not chase you once the timer starts. So you basically just dodge in and out of a whole bunch of crates and stuff, get the timer started, dodge out of the way, punch some grunts, and eventually once you do this enough times, you just got to survive one final wave, and then BT will actually end up breaking a gate, which allows you to get back to him. So now that we're back with BT, we decide to head up a ramp and meet the first boss.
To Kane's party. And that's why you're dead? Well, well. Another runaway hero. With an SRS Vanguard class Titan. Woo! Now we're talking! Bring a knife to a knife.
Now, as intimidating as Kane looks, he's actually pretty much just a pushover. So I started off by killing his teammate, and then when we use his ammo, when we throw it back at him, he's a scorch. So whenever we throw his own ammo back at him, it does crazy tick damage. On top of that, we just keep punching him, stick to him like glue, and then lock onto him a couple times. By this time, he's just about dead, so we finish him off with a couple punches, and that's a wrap. He just gets melted instantly. Now, other bosses are going to have a little more health than him, but like I said, he's actually not too bad. You just got to keep straight up on him and don't let him get the best of you. Now, with Kane defeated, we decide to take his helmet transmitter so we can actually hear what the enemy's saying. And this makes it a lot easier for us to avoid them or just counter whatever plans they have in place. And just like that, mission complete. So we move on to the next. The next mission starts with us going deeper into a cave, and pretty much straight away after walking a couple steps, we end up finding the Scorch Cannon. And this has insane damage potential. I can't stress this enough. This is probably the #1 damage dealing Titan in the game in terms of like damage per second. You'll see in a second why, but basically we just turned a bunch of robots into scrap metal, and then we ended up getting ambushed by a Titan. But so instead of capturing ammo and throwing it back, our ult on this character is actually a shield, but if we're close enough, it burns through the metal of the other Titans. And on top of that, we can throw down gas canisters, which damages grunts and stuff on the ground. But if we use our other special ability, which is a giant line of fire, we can light those barrels, creating a giant area of effect, just damage pool. And this is going to become essential for my strategy in the later game because you can damage multiple Titans at once. And after annihilating those first 2 Titans, I end up getting my super. So I use it, and as you can see, it almost completely kills a Titan in one shot. So if you manage to hit 3 at once, that's a combo breaker, dude. So I ended up just fighting these guys by just using all my abilities to, you know, just whittle them down. Eventually, I got 2 of them to back into an elevator, which is huge for me because I can throw down gas canisters, get them trapped against the wall, and just light them up. Just look at that damage, dude. Look at that. Instantly dead. It's just insane. I can't stress enough how busted Scorch is. Right after that, we end up fighting the next Titan loadout, which we're never going to use because it's actually garbage. And we activate a lift, but it ends up carrying BT away. And he's trapped. He cannot escape at all, so it's up to me to free him. So I dive headfirst into the darkness to save him, and that brings us to the next level. At the bottom of the lift, I end up cleaning up a couple guys trying to kill me and parkour my way to the facility. I actually really love the parkour in this game, probably more than anything else. Even if there wasn't guns, I'd probably just still enjoy the game. Something about just the fluidity of it. No other game has really captured it. I mean, BO3 came kind of close, but just doesn't feel as fluid, man. I don't know. I kill one more squad before arriving at the assembly line. And this is probably my favorite mission in the game. It's super cool. It kind of reminds me sort of like Portal. You know, like GLaDOS, you got her moving around, building all these cool things. And I accidentally discovered a speedrun strat. I missed a platform, but then I got launched super quick. I don't know if people could utilize that, maybe. But yeah, I just start killing everybody. And this is the first time we see heavy troopers introduced. They take 2 hits, and if you walk through their shield, it stuns you. But I end up killing a bunch of these guys, making my way along the assembly line, trying to avoid as many traps as possible, just killing everything in sight. I also forgot to mention earlier, I killed every single enemy possible in this run, so not one enemy was left alive. I ended up hacking a whole bunch of robots for extra fire support. Yeah, all in all, it went pretty well. There was a couple turrets, a lot of heavies. At one point, I ran into a doorway to try to escape some grunts firing on me, but I ended up getting trapped in there by a tick and just about died. As you can see here, almost got me, but I jumped out at the last possible second. Could have sucked, but we survived. And after riding the lift for long enough, we ended up getting to the point where we had to climb out of this deep hole that we were in. I made my way out of the pit and realized this game's actually closer to Portal than we originally thought, because I hitched a ride on one of the platforms to get to the top and realized we were all in a huge simulation. This wasn't no small test chamber. And after the test chamber finished building itself, I ended up getting a couple teammates to help me out. They spawned in here. They must have been hostages or something. And enemies started dropping from the sky. They were all specters, so I hacked as many of them as I could. I think I got 4 in total, which is huge because I needed all the fire support I could get. Because as you're going to see, we face some Reapers. And these guys pack a punch. I'm pretty sure they can one-shot hit you if they punch you. And after you kill them, they also self-destruct. And if you're anywhere near that radius, that's an insta-kill. You instantly die. So I had to play it safe. I was throwing some electric grenades and hoping all my guys would actually do most of the damage. They can also shoot a whole bunch of ticks out onto the battlefield, which is super awesome. Eventually though, I was able to survive long enough to get the door opened. And after killing all the IMC troops, I headed down the hole into the next area. And after loading into the next area, I sprinted straight through the cave system into this place that kind of looks like something out of the Matrix. You got a whole bunch of pods carrying creatures, and after activating the console, we parkoured up it, and I actually ended up seeing this alien creature fall probably about 2,100,000 feet to its death. And that could not have felt good. Poor guy.
It is. I suggest you evacuate.
Lucky for us though, after this, all we gotta do is avoid some ticks, do some jumping around, and then we're back at BT. So we hop back in, and we just kill some Reapers and some aliens. It's not too hard, luckily, you know. It's only like 1 punch on the aliens and then a couple locks on the Reapers, but after that we fought a few Titans, and at this point we're just goated with the Scorch, so we're just annihilating everything in our path, left and right. Super easy stuff. And eventually we get to this point where we fight the next boss.
Let's just put a high price on your head, pilot. Dead or alive. That makes you worth something to me.
Now, this boss actually isn't bad at all. I started it off with my super because it was fully charged, and then since she's pretty much a close range, I mean, she's got a shotgun and a sword, she constantly tries to close distance, so if you just back up and use all your area of effect stuff, she'll actually run straight through it to come at you. And Ronins have very low health, so it's super easy just to get the finisher off and finish up the fight. So after that, we end up leaving this area, and this leads us to the next level. Our next mission starts off with us dropping down a pipe, and we're actually looking for another pilot named Anderson. He went missing here, so we go in to look for him. And this is where we discover that this area is part of an anomaly and that we can time travel. So I just run through here, see the local wildlife, jump down, and find BT. Anderson's signal is coming from a nearby building, so I sprint in there, and sure enough, after seeing a friendly Marvin, I realize he's here, but he's dead, and his corpse is stuck in the roof. So I run up to him, grab his helmet so that we can actually find out what he's doing here, grab all the info, and this actually gives us a playback of where he was and what he did, so we can actually follow that and see what he was up to. So, like I said, grab his helmet and then we're off. I actually found some C4 nearby that I picked up, and went back outside. BT made a zip line, MacGyver style, threw it up there, and I decided to follow it. After making it into the building, I ended up finding an area that was inhabited by a bunch of rusted up stalkers, and they started coming alive and attacking me, so I just ran around punching the absolute shit out of them. And I used my C4 that I found, and from here, we decided to flee further into the facility. Roblox reference. If you get it, comment below. Anyways, I annihilated everybody in the tunnel, found Anderson's other half, and actually took his gauntlet off. And this allows us to control time. So from here on, we can actually switch whenever we like. So this allows me to traverse the facility way easier. And so we just went on ahead. After finding a couple of routes through the building, we actually came across a couple more combat encounters, which is super fun here. I love the aesthetics of this area. I love the time mechanic. But all in all, pretty straightforward stuff. I opened some doors, fought a few more guys. Well, not a few more. It was like the entire IMC force available. Everybody they ever had. So I just spammed a whole bunch of C4 on the shields, punched everybody else, and traversed deeper. Right here, I actually got jump scared by these turrets, but luckily you can jump right behind them after going up top. And a lot of this mission is just a bunch of parkour. A lot of parkour with the time mechanic. So I did a lot of that. Fought some enemies here in between. But eventually I made it back to BT. And after climbing in them, I fought a few Titans. And once we entered the hangar, I ended up hacking this one switch. This is a showcase of the beam ability. It's actually insane. But once we made it in the hangar, I ended up hacking this. And it made the arc malfunction. And right as me and BT were about to get overwhelmed, the arc blew up, and this happened.
BT.
Time is stopped, and so I parkour my way up the wreckage to find the arc, and once I get to it, I scan it to find out what we're looking at. Once this is done, I end up discarding our time splitter thing because it's busted up, and that's the end of this mission. BT and I scale a mountain looking for a IMC radar base, and along the way we find the Ronin loadout. And this is awesome because you get a sword when you melee, which makes this entire run so much cooler. You also get a phase dash in which you're immune to damage. But we find some friendlies, and to help them out, we head deep into the underbelly and do some parkour through some electric fields. And this segment's really cool. Super easy. I mean, it's just parkour, but it's super fun too, so you can't beat that. Do a couple combat segments here and there. Nothing too crazy. Nothing we haven't seen already. A lot of stalkers. They're no problem. You just hit them a couple times. And in this area, there's a lot of hackable robots as well, so I ended up hacking a few of these guys. Jump up this air vent thingy, turn it off, and then jump straight back down to get as deep down here as I can. And I end up finding the multi-tool, or arc tool, sorry. I grab it from the Marvin, and this makes him extremely sad because now he has no purpose. So it makes me sad as well. But we continue to move on. So this arc tool actually turns off fans and electronics. So we can turn this back on to jump back up and parkour our way back. We regroup with our buddies and continue on. So I end up having to go into this microwave, turn all these buttons off, and then after that, we power up a beacon and head over there. The spot I need to get to though is out of reach, so BT throws me like a fastball, and I end up flying my way over there. I use a crane to move some platforms around to give me better access to some areas, and once I can hop over there, I do some combat. I found some more C4, so I decided to use that, and then the arc tool can actually allow you to release some stalkers that are on your team. So I do that to help me in this next fight because there's a couple Reapers, but luckily I have C4 as well. So makes quick work of these guys. And after that, I end up just using some fire stars, watching people burn alive, moved a couple more platforms around, and eventually I get to this area where I need to move a dish. Once I get to the dish spot, I fight a few more enemies, and then I get it moving. I move it to where it needs to go, climb on it, and then grab this battery or uplink module if we want to get scientific. So I grab this guy and head back towards BT, and on the way I used the arc tool to kind of set up some modules, and I ended up beating the crap out of these guys that were trying to zipline over to BT and ambush them. And once we got back to BT, he ended up throwing us to the roof of where the other dish was, and I installed the module, but it made the dish tilt, so I fell to my death. Or at least I would have if BT wasn't a G and caught me, because he's a legend and we love him. Look at that cuteness. But since we installed the module, we head back to the base where our allies are, and we actually have to 1v1 another Ronin, which is light work, no reaction, easy dubs. And once we smash the crap out of that guy, we fight another Titan, and then the boss.
Care to have a real fight? Let's see what you got up close and personal. Oder das du weglauf, mir kleiner Junge.
Surprisingly though, this is the easiest boss fight in the entire game because we have a sword now, and so we can just spam it and he dies in like 10 seconds flat. As soon as we pop our ultimate, it just gets crazy because our damage is increased substantially for a short time. So we can literally just kill him in like 2 seconds. It's super easy, super trivial. With Richter down, we go to the next mission, which starts us with dropping out of the battle bus, and we have a full squad of Titans assaulting an entire army of other Titans. And this is actually really tough. I almost died at this part more than any other time in this campaign because you just get bum rushed by dozens, I'm not kidding, dozens of Titans. So it starts off pretty decent with all my teammates right behind me taking a whole bunch of the aggro, but once I push in here, you'll start to see how crazy it gets. And I'm going to speed up some of this footage just to show you what it's like, but once we fight a whole bunch of these guys, my health starts to drain like crazy. And eventually, once my health gets low enough, as you'll see right here, I just run away as fast as I can and go grab the cores that the other Titans dropped. So basically, I just backtrack. You play cat and mouse with them. You're not going to get fully healed, but you're going to get a lot of health back. And I use this strategy throughout the entire mission. We kill a whole bunch of Titans, dozens upon dozens. I'm pretty sure you probably kill at least 50. But eventually we get to the point where we find them loading up the arc, and I try to chase them down, but by the time I can get close enough to them, they're already gone. So this concludes this mission. Our fleet chases down the IMC, and here we meet the coolest character in this entire game, and that's Viper.
Visual clear. I've got this tone.
I want to be him when I grow up so bad. But anyway, his missiles knocked us off, but luckily one of our allied ships caught us, and then BT throws us over to the IMC. It's a perfect throw, of course, so we end up landing inside the ship and doing some combat. I was punching everybody in the face. I had a couple nades that I would use, but mainly we were trying to get rid of these auto turrets. And, well, not auto turrets, I guess they're manned guns, but basically just punched everybody off of them. And after we did this, the 6-4 came in to help us out, which is our squad, and they look cool as fuck. So I followed them, played follow the leader, and I just threw everything I had at them. I had a whole bunch of backup, so I was not scared of dying. And after going balls to the walls, ape crazy, we actually ended up making it up to the what's it called? The helm of the ship. So we breached here, and I actually hacked the steering wheel of the ship and ended up taking over. This allowed BT to catch up, and he punches out the glass. And after I enter, we end up going through the hardest part of the entire game. Hardest part of the entire run, and that is the Viper boss fight.
Voodoo 1, Viper's on station. Your journey ends here, pilot. The skies belong to me. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
I had a lot of trouble with this boss fight. He has a railgun that one-shots your shield. He has flight. He can literally fly away from you, and if you're punching, that's not good at all. And it starts you off fighting 2 Scorches as well. But the Scorches aren't too much of a problem. It's Viper himself. I can lock onto him, so I do a lot of locking on. Whenever he punches, you have to capitalize on it. You just rush in, punch him as much as you can. And whenever he lands, I try to drop electric smoke, which will do a ton of damage to him before he flies away. Obviously, you know, throw back his own bullets at him. And I actually ended up getting really close my first try, but he ended up killing me, and I died again and again and again and again. I died so many times I lost count. I was probably stuck on this for like an hour straight, just balls against the walls over and over and over again. I lost count and I started to get discouraged, but I switched up my loadout, and eventually I got him. It took a long time, but we managed. The key to the fight is patience, really, but once we got him, me and BT decide to invade the next ship, so he's about to throw me, but Viper's back. The sneaky bastard doesn't want to die. So he picks us up, and I end up getting dropped like 3,000 feet. But at this point, I'm used to it, so slamming my face on the ground does nothing. And when I come to, I see BT and Viper having an insane 1v1. Going absolutely ham, but I third party just like I did in Fortnite all those years ago, and I end up throwing 2 grenades at him. It's a shame because he truly is the coolest character in the game, and I hate to see him go. I mean, look at his character model. Most badass thing I've ever seen in my life. But we decide to enter the ship, and as we advance forward, we find the Ark, and I push it into BT, and we decide to get out of here. As we're making our break for it, we end up getting knocked back by a crazy explosion, and BT jumps on me to save me. And when I wake up, it turns out we've been captured by Blisk. He threatens us a little bit, threatens to torture us, but then BT comes through and actually pulls a surprise attack, which buys us time. But unfortunately, Sloan rips out the Ark from him and game ends him. Sorry, BT.
Say goodnight.
Blisk and Sloan flee, but fortunately, BT actually ends up surviving. And he rips out his eye, which actually has his memory in it, and also a knife and a smart pistol for me. Unfortunately, I can't actually use the smart pistol, which is the best and coolest gun in any first-person game ever. Any first-person game ever. You cannot change my mind. But, yeah, I end up grabbing my hacking knife and hacking a console nearby, which allows me to escape. As you can see here, this pistol is locking onto the enemies, which would give you automatic headshots even if you hip fire. So it's genuinely painful as I'm running through here. I had to fight every single urge in my body not to pull the trigger. But I make it out of the ship, and I end up having to solo a whole bunch of Titans. But like I said, at this point, I'm go to a Scorch, and we make it to Sloan.
Trying to be a hero. It's all yours. Keep the salvage.
Who said anything about salvage? I'll do this one for free.
And even though Shawnee's a little baddie, I had to slam down on that boo thing. So I place it on my gas, light it up, and attack her little goons, which don't last long at all. And then I just light up the floor, use my super whenever it's active to do some massive damage. And she actually almost kills me a couple times with her beam attack, but there's a bunch of health crates around, so she just dies slowly burning up. And it's a pretty quick fight, only lasted like 1 minute. with the final obstacle out of our way, we gotta rip the arc out of the gun. But it turns out the only way to stop this is by launching ourselves, and we'd both die. But the sacrifice is worth it, so we hop in there. But as we fire, BT decides to save me.
Protocol 3, protect the pilot.
BT, what are you doing?
Trust me.
BT!
Cooper, we just lost BT signal. We're almost there.
I lost my buddy, but I had to act quick. I couldn't let his sacrifice be in vain, so I parkoured across the wreckage and tried to make it back to the ship. Luckily, I made it there in one piece right as they were leaving, and we managed to get away. Barely, but we made it in the end, even if the planet didn't get so lucky.
Parker, get us out of here.
Pilot Cooper. A lot of people owe their lives to you. And to BT. Barker, set a course for Harmony. Take us home.
You got it.
And that marks the end of the last mission, making it to where we did complete Titanfall 2 without killing a single enemy with a gun. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. Really appreciate it. Hit that like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, because I have plans to make a whole bunch of similar content like this. I'm going to be uploading all kinds of wacky challenges, all kinds of crazy stuff. So if that's up your alley, then go ahead and sub. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys. Have a good one.